Hello viewers, welcome to today's lecture. I hope all of you are safe and taking all precautions against COVID. In today's topic, I shall be talking to you in detail about the adenoid problem in children. It will contain all details, and don't think this is a boring lecture. It contains a lot of videos, visuals, and so much of information that even a non-medical person, a viewer, can really understand about this problem, especially parents of small kids. So let us start. So dear viewers, what you see here is the cross section of the human head. So in this cross section we can see this is the portion belonging to the nose, and behind the nose is the nasopharynx. This is the portion of the throat, and below that is the voice box or the larynx, and onwards the trachea, and then the lungs. This is the anterior nostril, the anterior opening of the nose. This is the posterior opening of the nose. It is also called as the choana. The airflow is in this direction. When we breathe in, air enters through the anterior nostril, travels through the nose, exits through the posterior choana into the nasopharynx, and then through the throat and larynx and on to the trachea and lungs. So this is the direction of the airflow. So in a normal child, there will not be any obstruction to the flow of air, either during inspiration or during expiration. What you see here is the opening of the eustachian tube, that is in the nasopharynx. So the eustachian tube connects the nasopharynx to the middle ear. So it's a short tube traveling through the skull, and it opens into the middle ear. So what you have to realize is that this bone of the ear contains a lot of air cells which throughout your lifespan produce a lot of mucus. So how does this eustachian tube function? The mucus produced in this bone comes into the middle ear and flows out through the nasopharynx and into the throat. At the same time, air will enter into this middle ear and onwards into all the air cells, providing ventilation to this area. So this bone and the ear functions with a combination of ventilation and drainage. What you see here is a normal adenoid tissue. So in a normal child, it's a very small tissue, and it causes absolutely no obstruction either to the flow of air or to the functioning of the eustachian tube. In some children, there is a hypertrophy of the adenoids. Now this is divided into 4 grades. A small hypertrophy of the adenoid is called grade 1 and hardly causes any problem. Further expansion is called a grade 2, and grade 2 also does not produce any significant problem. It is only when the expansion progresses further and it becomes grade 3 that symptoms start to appear. Symptoms like nasal obstruction and some amount of snoring. So that is because at grade 3, the air can go through only a very small passage in between the soft palate and the adenoid mass. When this adenoid grows further, it sometimes projects into the nose, blocking this posterior opening completely, gets into contact with the soft palate, and it causes total obstruction. Now, this is called a grade 4 adenoid. Let us now discuss some of the symptoms associated with hypertrophy of the adenoid. So, let us first talk about the ear symptoms. So, when the eustachian tube is blocked, I told you earlier, this drainage of the mucus from this area and ventilation both are disturbed. So what happens is, this mucus is not able to travel downwards. It accumulates behind the eardrum in the middle ear, and it causes hearing loss. If not diagnosed early, the child will be having recurrent amount of pain. He gets recurrent bouts of otalgia or ear pain, and even that is, if not treated, then it may progress to a complete perforation of the eardrum with discharge of pus from the ear. Now these are the ear symptoms. Now let us talk about the symptoms associated with the airway obstruction. So the airway obstruction, in severe cases what will happen is, there will be blockage of airflow through the nasopharynx. So the child will develop severe nasal obstruction. He will develop snoring, and in severe cases the child will get OSA. OSA means obstructive sleep apnea, where the breath stops during breathing. The child can't inspire, so that is called OSA. As mouth breathing sets in, the teeth, the upper incisors, particularly the teeth in front and the lower teeth, they push outwards, and then the child will not close its mouth. So the child is always breathing through the mouth, so it looks as if it is always smiling, and the face, which is called an adenoid facies, that is the facial features due to the obstruction with the adenoid, it's a kind of resembles a stupid look. So that is called an adenoid facies. Due to chronically disturbed sleep and poor oxygenation during sleep, the child is always irritable, cranky, and hyperactive. He is also inattentive at school, and complaints come from school that the child is not paying attention. This is due to the child feeling sleepy and irritable, and also due to the hearing loss caused by accumulation of mucus in the ear. His academic performance also deteriorates. Let us now come to the diagnosis of the adenoid problem. Usually, a lateral X-ray of the head is taken to know whether the adenoid mass is present or not. The problem with this method is that the correct grading of the adenoid mass cannot be done, and secondly, we are not seeing it in 3 dimensions, so we cannot make out whether it actually is causing a significant obstruction or not. In addition to this, there is always the risk of radiation due to the X-ray to the small child. The better way of diagnosing this problem is to do a nasal endoscopy and visualize the nasopharynx and the adenoid mass directly. In this way, we can ascertain the grade of the mass, whether it is 3rd grade or 4th grade, whether it requires surgery, whether there is any other obstruction in the nose also which is contributing to the symptoms. In grade 1 and grade 2 children with mild symptoms, usually steroid nasal sprays are given and they give lasting relief for some time. Grade 3 and grade 4 children with significant obstruction, if not responding to medical treatment, will require removal of the adenoids. So there are 3 methods. One is the routine old-fashioned adenoidectomy. Here, the adenoid mass which is hiding in the nasopharynx is curated using an adenoid curate, and a lot of tissue is removed, but the problem is, one, there will be heavy bleeding. Second is, a lot of tissue is left behind, which tends to regrow. So there will be a recurrence of this mass in about 5 to 6 months time. A second and better method is called the endoscopic powered adenoidectomy. Here the endoscope is used to visualize the nasopharynx and the adenoid mass, and the microdebrider is used to remove the adenoid mass completely from its bed. Some small amount of bleeding will be there, but which is usually controlled well, and there is no chance of this mass recurring after this method. The third and best method would be to do coblation adenoidectomy. In coblation adenoidectomy, an endoscope is used to visualize the adenoid mass, and the coblator wand is used to remove the adenoid mass in a bloodless fashion. Here also, there will be no chance of recurrence following the surgery. Dear viewers, I hope you have understood what all I have described about the adenoids and its problems. If you have any doubts about this topic, you are always welcome to send a WhatsApp message on the number in the description. I'll only be too happy to clear your doubts. Thank you.